be very quiet because everyone.
Welcome, viewers. This is the Male and Guardian Power of Women 2021 Big Reveal. I am Atandiwe. I am the Male and Guardian Deputy Editor. And I'd like you to welcome, very warm welcome to everybody out there. Wherever you are in South Africa and all over the world, you've decided to be part of this webinar today. This year is an exciting year for the power of women, the Male and Guardian, and we are in proud partnership with the Afrocentric Group. We've been doing this work as the Male and Guardian for the past 16 years. It's been 16 years. And we have consistently amplified the contributions and the exceptional work of South African women working to grow and develop the nation of South Africa. This year, we decided to go with the theme of Stronger Together. We are stronger together, just working together, bringing each other up. We are. So that this year's, especially with the pandemic, so this year's theme, Stronger Together, really speaks to all of that work that women have been doing. These are women who have built businesses. They have governed us. They have guided us. They've harvested produce and they've healed our people. They've mined resources from our earth and developed better communications through networking in media, in arts, and telecommunications, and in sports. Definitely, we do greater things together. Now, all of this, as I'm talking about all of these women that we're going to be celebrating today, and the supplement that has come out in the Male and Guardian today on the streets, all of this would not have been possible without our incredible sponsors. I'd like to firstly thank the platinum sponsors, Afrocentric Group. Afrocentric Group is one of the most diversified healthcare companies in Southern Africa. They have about 4 million people that they have covered in the region. They are transformed and they have focused their efforts on sustainable impact. And they also champion the role of women in healthcare professionals and their caregivers, and through support for this year's Power of Women. So a big thank you, Afrocentric, from us to you for making this possible. Now, back to this exciting project, Male and Guardian's Powerful Women. The Power of Women has evolved over the years. As you remember, I said 16 years. Power of Women has evolved. And it has taken a step further from only recognizing leaders and captains of industry to a more change makers across all different sectors. These are women, not just in your mining and your finance, but women who are in our communities and who are developing our nations in many different ways. The call for nominations this year started around about May, if I'm not mistaken. And we decided to have 7 broad categories to try and include as many different women and the different work that women are doing in the various sectors. We got such an overwhelming response this year. The editorial team had their work cut out for them. We had hundreds of nominations from various different sectors. It took us a couple of weeks to go through all of these and read about the different stories and the different work. I think the main thing for me that came out from all of those nominations is the consistency these women are doing their work. They're going about their work every day, making a change in their communities and in our nation, and they are consistent about it. So the editorial sifted through all these categories and found 50 women that we would want to celebrate this year. And every year we decide to celebrate these 50 women, different women from the different sectors. And now I just want to give you a little bit of a glimpse into these categories and what these categories actually entail. The businesswoman. The businesswoman is a woman of excellence. She's a woman of excellence in business innovation, entrepreneurship, business mentorship, hospitality, and tourism. Then we have the governing woman. The governing woman is influencing in the fields of politics, of governance, of law, legal practice, innovation in those fields, and justice. Then we have the guiding woman. The guiding woman is part of the pillars of South Africa's communities. She champions education. She champions science and technology, engineering, mathematics. She champions civil society and civil society development and initiatives in support of gender-based violence. Then we have the harvesting woman. The harvesting woman is a powerhouse who is an agriculturist or an apiculturist or ranchers. These are champions in rural development champions, and they're innovators and implementers of technology for best practices in agriculture. This is where we get our food. Then we have the healing women. These amazing women are frontliners in South Africa during the COVID-19 pandemic response. We had so many initiatives, and we had so many women who were part of those initiatives, standing there to heal us, to work with us, to getting better through this pandemic. We're talking about frontliners in medical practice, nursing, and community care workers. Then we have mining women. Mining women are trailblazing women who have boldly stepped into mining, excellently so, and in the mining industry. They are mine workers, they are venture capitalists and mining engineers. Networking women. This woman shapes South Africa's rich narrative through the media, through arts, through telecommunications, and through sports. These are our 7 categories this year, where we have decided to have 50 women who are represented through those different categories. All right, but before we reveal who those 50 women are, I have to have this conversation with the amazing Basani Maluleka. She is a trailblazer in her own right. Basani Maluleka is confident. She's an innovator. You talk about First Rand Bank. You talk about African Bank. She's an attorney, an executive, a writer. I could just continue going on and on about the amazing work that you've done in different sectors. Basani Maluleka Ndiyabulela, welcome.
Thank you, Atandi. What a lovely, lovely introduction. I appreciate it.
Oh, so excited to have you. I think I'm more excited. I hope I'm not as more excited than our viewers to have this conversation with you here. And thank you so much for joining us. I think first and foremost, I think people want to know who's Basani. How did Basani get here? What has Basani gone through? Just give us your elevator pitch of who you are in this industry.
Thanks, Atandi. And again, what a privilege to be here with your listeners, and what a beautiful introduction of what this event is all about from you. So I think first and foremost, I'm a girl from Soshanguve, born in 1977. So professionally, my last role was as CEO of African Bank, a role which I loved. It was an absolute privilege to oversee the rehabilitation of the brand, coming out of creatorship, launching a new product. So we launched our transactional banking platform during that time, overhauling how we service our customers, winning the best customer service award in 2019. So we achieved an incredible amount, and that role gave me the opportunity to flex my leadership muscle, right? Which is something that not very many people get to do, and it was absolutely amazing to have that opportunity. And before that, as you mentioned earlier, I was at First Rand, and I left First Rand when I was head of private clients, which is FNB's private banking brand. Again, an incredible role in terms of learning operations and understanding retail banking from kind of the private banking perspective. And prior to that, I was a lawyer. So that's kind of really where my grounding is. So my father was a lawyer, and I spent most of my childhood trying to be my dad. And so I became a lawyer, really loved studying law at GCT, but I realized very early on, in fact, so immediately after qualifying or becoming admitted as an attorney, I realized I didn't want to become a lawyer and practice law for the rest of my life. I wanted to do something that gave me a little bit more exposure to how the economy works. What drives the creation of large mergers and acquisitions? How do businesses operate, and what makes them successful and what doesn't? And that's how I got into banking.
Wow, that's such a different way to get into banking from law and all of that. And when did that moment come for you that you decided, actually, this is not what I want to do for the rest of my life. Because as young people, you decide, okay, this is my path, and you decide that that's the path that you're going to be. You'll be a lawyer at 50. But at which moment did that shift happen for you?
It's quite hard to say, this was in 2005 when I had my eureka moment, I'll call it that. But I think, I remember sitting at my desk at Edward Nathan, where I was a lawyer, and we were advising a company that was that had already negotiated a deal. We're doing a merger. And I remember thinking, we tend as lawyers then, in any event, to come in at the end of the deal. Right, so the guys have already decided they want to do the deal. They've done the numbers, and now they want to record it, basically.
Yeah.
And I remember thinking, but I want to be on the other side, right? I want to be at the side where you decide you want to do the deal, or at the point where you decide, well, actually, as company A, I want to grow in this fashion, and as a result, I want to look at options on how to do that. And I want you to understand how that works. What is the mathematics that goes into that? And as I was sitting there, I thought, well, but what would be the best way for me to achieve this? And I suppose maybe magically, maybe the universe was at play, who knows? I found a job spec that literally kind of said, this is corporate finance, and corporate finance encapsulates legal knowledge as well as accounting knowledge. And I thought, well, I have an accounting degree and a law degree, surely I should be able to do this thing called corporate finance. So I went to RMB and I interviewed for this role. And I was very lucky because the person who was running RMB Corporate Finance at the time was also a lawyer. So I kind of saw myself, fitting into that space really well. And I was very lucky to have a lot of people support me in the corporate finance team to assist me to better understand what corporate finance is and how one becomes a corporate finance professional.
Wow, I love it. I love it. So through all these different professions that you've spoken about, law, corporate, accounting, you found a lot of experience over those years, and you've also been a leader of the whole bank at some point. What have you put in your toolbox to continue the leadership role that you have in society and going forward internationally even? And how would you advise a lot of the women who are watching here today, who are part of the Men and Guiding Power of Women? What would you advise? What are some of those tools that they should try and get or build in terms of skill set to be the best leaders that they can be in whichever sectors they are in?
Yeah, it's an interesting question, that. And when I think about leadership, right, I always think of Maya Angelou and her quote that people will always remember how you made them feel. They won't remember what you said or what you did, but they'll remember the feeling that you left them with. And in many ways, that's what leadership is, right? It's really about doing a lot of introspection. So I think, one, you got to invest in understanding yourself. You have to have a very healthy sense of self-awareness. You must know what impact you have on people. And once you know that, right, it kind of helps you to figure out, well, if I want the people to go there, right, how do I need to show up to make sure that I have the best possible chance of getting them to go in that direction? So self-awareness is really, really important. I remember talking to one of the CEOs of RMB at some point, and I was like, I think I want your job. And he said to me, you don't want my job. My job is all about people, and it's horrible. If you want to do deals, go and do deals, right? And he's absolutely right. It is all about people. You gotta, I think you must love them. So fortunately, I love people. You must have a desire to get to know them so that you're able to help them to be their best, because when they are their best and doing their best work, they make you look good, right? So I really think a desire to invest in yourself and invest in people is really important in that leadership toolbox. And then, of course, the other thing is just to keep learning. Fortunately for our generation, I'm not sure what that means, but I'm going to go with our generation. We live in an environment where everything is changing all the time. So what you may have learned in varsity 10 years ago, it remains relevant. I think having a good sense of history is important, but I think having an appetite for learning and taking in large volumes of information and making sense of it, surrounding yourself with people who know stuff, listening to webinars, learning stuff all the time so that you can use all of that knowledge to drive a vision, to inspire your people, is really important. So I think for me, those would be the two core things.
That makes so much sense. When you're talking about this, as you're talking about it right now, as an envisioning, okay, that would work with a woman who is working in a community kind of setting. That would work with somebody who is going to be a CEO of a big corporation. That would work with somebody who's a mining engineer and just starting out in a mine as a young woman, working with people and consistently learning. That, for me, I'm taking that as a gem as well. So there's a lot of pressures that come with women when we get into any kind of sector, actually, especially male-dominated sectors or sectors where women have not been represented quite often in those particular sectors. What have the pressures been like, and how have you been able to lean on other people, and how have you used that going forward?
Sure, taking a deep breath. It always feels very unfashionable to say that the patriarchy is real, right? Because then it feels like you're making an excuse. You're playing the gender card and so on. But the reality is the patriarchy is real. And to me, it feels like the more senior you become, the patriarchy becomes even more real. It becomes even stronger, right? The resistance to change is more. And it could easily be because at the top, there's only space for so many people. And as a result, the level of competition is higher, and there's less give as you get there. And people will then use whatever power they have to try and make sure that they can retain the status quo so that they become successful. And that is the reality, and it's very difficult to get away from that. But having said that, I must also say, I have had people throughout my career who've been incredible supporters. And often those people are people who, of themselves, have been incredibly successful in all aspects of their lives. They're people who can afford to be generous because they don't feel like by helping you, they're losing something. And they're people who typically have a much broader view of the world, right? Because I think if you have a view of abundance, if you look at the world as from the place of, there's space for both Atandiwe and myself to be successful, you're much more likely to be like, what, let me help you. Because, when we both out there, we can create more. And I think those people are there. And I think the key is to find them and to lean on them. And often they want to help. Is to find them, to lean on them, to learn from them, and to make sure that you leverage whatever's out there to help you to become successful. And that then means, on the one hand, you've got to constantly be open to learning from people. And on the other hand, you need to be aware of the fact that there are those people out there who are going to do their hardest to diminish you, to humiliate you, to put you down, and to undermine you. And once you know that they're there, right? Once you've admitted it and accepted it, you're able to then put in place counterbalancing forces to make sure that this doesn't become your narrative. Yeah. Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, it does.
Because I think what I will say, I have made the mistake in previous environments, is by wanting to assume that everybody wants the best for you. Everybody wants you to be successful. And that's not actually true. There are many people who do want you to be successful, don't get me wrong. But there are people who don't. And you need to know that. And you need to make peace with that, and have a strategy for how you're going to approach it.
Wow. And once you start getting to the level of, now I can help others. Now I can see abundance. And not to say that people should ever feel this, that you have to take away from somebody else so that you're better or that you can get to the next position. How do you start bringing other people up, the younger generation? How do you start being able to educate them about, actually, there's a lot to go around, and understanding how to work with people, and also understanding that it's not just all about you, helps everybody look good. How do you start bringing those people up to make sure that there is more space for women, and also helping other women as well?
Yeah. So where I'll start is, I think firstly it's about role modeling the behaviors that you think are important. So by that, I mean, literally it is how you show up. So if you show up in a meeting and you're kind of fist on table shouting at people, you send out one set of messages. But if you show up and you're actually generous in how you enable different voices to come into the room, you're generous in how you give credit to people for good work done. You are clear about when mistakes have been made and what needs to be done to make sure that they don't happen again. You gotta model those behaviors, because then people think, well, if she can be generous about allowing other people to come into her space, have an open door policy. If somebody emails me, for example, I'll always email back, and they're always surprised. So be generous with your time, and people see that, and it kind of encourages them to take more risk in terms of how they show up, in terms of how they choose to walk through the world. And I think that's really important. And I think for me, because often I don't have the time to actually mentor people, because your time is taken up by so many other things. The fact that I will respond to an email, it makes such a big difference in somebody's life. And I've had people come back years later to say to me, the fact that you took the time to respond to my email and gave me that advice has helped me to do the following things through life. And those things seem very small at the time that you're doing that, because look, it's 5 minutes to kind of think through the email and write something down. But they make a difference. People who will say, look, the fact that you spoke at XYZ event helped me to think differently about my own life and my career. So I think it's going to be about deciding to have parts of your energy that are diverted towards public, being a public person, because I am a public person, right? So participating as such in public events, showing up, talking to people, and then on the other hand, making sure you're the best professional you can be, because I feel like in so many ways that role models and that creates a sense for people that actually, I can do it too. I can do it by being authentically me and not having to pretend to be somebody else so that I can get the next promotion.
Of course. I hope everybody is actually listening, because this for me is a masterclass. Is a masterclass on how to be an authentic leader in any sphere that you're in. African Bank. You haven't spoken much about African Bank. What I do want to know is, how did you use that opportunity? What was that opportunity like for you?
It was extraordinary. I mean, as I said earlier, the ability to flex your leadership muscle is a rare thing. Very few of us are going to get the opportunity to be the boss at the top of a company. It was stuff like, look, I was a young CEO, and I'd like to still think that I'm young, but time washes on. Because it was my first CEO position, I had the opportunity to try different things in terms of leadership. So if I show up and I want to pretend to be the person who knows everything, how does that work? If I show up and I'm wearing sneakers and jeans, how does that work? If I, so you get the chance to kind of try lots of different things and figure out how it impacts people. If I take everybody away for a strategy session in Cape Town, which is something I did in the first 6 months of my becoming CEO, how does that work? How do people respond? What needs to be in place to make it successful? You just get a chance to do things and to test different things, and that helps everybody around you to grow. It helps you to grow. You start to think about, what are actually my strengths and my weaknesses, right? So, for example, I know, and I mentioned it earlier to you, my political acumen is not the strongest. I like to think that everybody exists to support me, and that people aren't necessarily out there to undermine me. And I think having somebody who's close to me in my team who can say, you need to watch out for this. I think this is what's happening there. Watch out for the other thing. So learning how to surround yourself with people who support you and who complement your strengths and your weaknesses is really important. So figuring that out, learning how to do it, finding those people, bring that out in those people, watching people grow because of the support that you give them, and watching yourself grow because of the support that you get, building those symbiotic relationships. I mean, it's magic. It really was an absolute privilege to lead the bank. And then, of course, outside of just kind of those softer leadership things, which when you're in them really is the hard stuff.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
Doing the stuff around what does it mean to launch a new product? How do I think about the feedback we're getting from our customers? What does it take to actually change how we operate as a bank? And understanding just the long-term view you got to take on those things, because it's not going to happen overnight. Understanding why certain barriers exist and figuring out how to move them out of the way. It's and then of course achieving the success that you want. So, for example, setting those really tough targets around, we want to do R1 billion of sales every month, and you're currently sitting at 600 million. How do you then bridge that 400? And how long does it take to get there? So learning those hard skills around motivating people to achieve the goals that are achievable, and then watching them get there is really an extraordinary thing. So for me, I will be forever grateful for my African bank journey. It taught me both the hard skills and the soft skills. It taught me what it means to lead. It taught me the fears that people have, and the role I should be playing in helping them to move past those fears. Because once they pass those fears, they're able to really show up and to take the organization forward. So really, it was awesome, and I look forward to using everything that I learned at African Bank in the rest of my career.
Okay, all right. What is next? What's your next? Where are you going? Where are you going next? Because African Bank's done, and now you've had a bit of a break. You look amazing and rested. What is next? What's the next best thing that you're going to be doing?
So, the first thing? First, I'm going to Capitec. So, which is exciting. So,
exciting.
When I was at African Bank, we often looked at Capitec as our nemesis. The guys we got to beat. And I think in many ways they're the guys that all the banks need to beat. And in thinking through my next, I was very clear that I want to work with people who are like-minded, people who I think are the best at what they do. And I think the Capitec team has proved that they are the best at what they do. I want to work with people who lead with integrity and authenticity. And I think that these guys really do. And they have a bigger picture for the role that Capitec can play in the country as a whole. So it's not just about the financials, right? It's not just about kind of, having the biggest market cap or having the biggest ROE. It's about, in addition to those things, playing a role in making the country better. So I really admire what the Capitec guys have done over the last 20 plus years.
Okay.
I love how they think about leadership. I love the fact that they are aiming to become the best bank in the world.
Best bank in the world. That's amazing.
It is.
That's amazing. That kind of you shoot for the stars, you land in the clouds. Best bank in Africa, even.
Right?
Wow, I love that.
I love that they are digital first in ways that I don't think any of their competitors are. They really just, the fabric of that organization is so clearly based on how do we be the best at everything? How do we disrupt wherever we can and move the needle forward and move the needle rather. So I'm really excited. I'm excited about the team. I'm excited about the opportunity. I'm excited about living in Stellenbosch.
Oh yes, Basani was telling me a little bit earlier she is moving to Stellenbosch.
So it just feels like the right place for me, and I'm really excited to have that chance.
That's amazing. Can we know which role? Is it just okay? For now, we're moving there.
I'm moving there. So I'm going to be joining it's effectively their innovation team. So it's the team that looks at, what are consumers, what's the next big thing for Capitec, basically. What are consumers actually looking for? What's missing in the consumer wallet or in their banking experience that's going to make their customers love them more, basically, and spend more money with them. When I was even at African Bank, I was very clear that the organization or the bank that will win is the bank that really understands customers and gives customers what they want. And I really think that Capitec is all about that. They really talk the talk and walk the walk around doing what is best for their customers. So I'm really excited to be part of the team that will be better understanding that and making sure that our products are relevant to our customers.
I think I'm excited for you. I think being in an innovative space and understanding what people want, what people need, and delivering that. That is such an exciting space, and a space to learn so much as well about the future, not just the future of banking, the future of where people are going to be consuming all kinds of products. I'm excited for you.
Thanks.
For you. So let's just throw it out to our viewers. We have a couple of questions that have come through. And one of our first questions is, what is the nomination process of 2022? And I think that's from Crystal there, if I get it correct. What's the nomination process for the Power of Women, top 50 women list? So I was quite integral part of going through the nominations. And I think one of the important things is what kind of information you provide about the person that you are nominating. As I said this year, there was a lot of consistency in terms of the work that the women have been doing and continue to do. And when you write that nomination form and you fill in that information, make sure that you're putting in that kind of information. That person didn't only just start yesterday working on this particular project, or started working in this particular mining sector, or started actually in agriculture. This person has been working and ensuring that there is a consistent track record for their work in whichever industry, and that particular work has been contributing to a change in this particular community or a change in a particular company as well. So that is one of the important things in terms of how you nominate the women that we end up featuring in 2022's Power of Women, Maiden Guardians. And we have a second question. I think that second question is for Basani. Basani, returning to you.
Great.
At which moment did you realize that transformation is important? That's one of the questions from our viewers.
Right. Probably when I was 5 years old. So I was born in a very patriarchal household. So my dad was the chief patriarch. And I was very clear from an early age, as I think most girls are, that the inequality between men and women can be crippling. I did not like being a girl. I didn't like all the responsibilities you have as a girl. You gotta clean the house. You just have so many more duties than the boys do. You have an earlier curfew. You just have just so many more things that you gotta get through in any one day that aren't related to what you want. And I thought, no, I don't want this. I want to be like a guy. The guys seem to have a lot more fun. They kind of go out, they do what they want, they can spend more time outside the house. And I think, so from then, it was just something that I was very clear about, that this has to transform. And of course, living in apartheid SA, right, for the first decade of my life, again, also very clear that this is an unsustainable way to live. So I think transformation is something that it has had to be in my blood, just by virtue of the fact that I'm Black and I'm female and living in South Africa.
Yeah.
And it's really important. And then, of course, if you think about, corporates as a whole, a corporate is a microcosm of the bigger South Africa. So all the things that play out around gender inequality, gender-based violence, harassment, racism, etc., they all play out still in the workplace. So, and that in many ways is responsible for why we still have very little transformation in the upper echelons of leadership in South Africa, and I think the key is to make sure that we change that, because if we keep it the same, it continues, we continue to have the same conversations about transformation that haven't given us the transformation that we've been looking for. So you need to have more people at the table who can contribute to that conversation and therefore drive initiatives that are actually going to help us to have the right level of transformation.
Wow. Transformation is so important in South Africa. One more question for you, Basani. I like this question. It's just popped up now. What makes you happy? What makes you happy, Basani?
Definitely running. I think doing anything that allows me to move my body. I love to dance, I love to run, I love to exercise. That makes me happy. And then, of course, the second thing is being near nature. So being by the beach, being in the mountains. And of course, my family, I must mention that. I think that's really important as well.
I'm so happy for this conversation between myself and Basani. And there are gifts for Basani and helping us so much through this whole process and talking through your life with us and how you've gotten here. So today we're celebrating women. We're celebrating the 50 women here. We're celebrating women all over South Africa before this August ends and as we continue into all months. And Basani, this is just a small token of appreciation.
Thank you so much.
NB Publishers and Penguin Random decided to join in on the celebration and the fun and the discussions about uplifting women. And this is for you. Beautiful gems of literature.
Everything I love. Books and chocolate.
NB Publishers, Penguin Random House. Thank you so much for these. I'm a huge voracious reader. As soon as I can get some time, I'm definitely getting into these. There's really some awesome names here already. Love it. Thank you so much. Basani, enjoy your little package and your little gift. So I just want us to now go into, I think, what a lot of people have been waiting for, the absolute big reveal of honoring the 50 powerful women of 2021 from the Mail and Guardian. Showreel, please start. would like to thank takealot.com for their consistent support through all their partnerships with the Mail and Guardian. And takealot.com has jumped into this project as well. Each of our powerful women honorees will receive a coupon worth 1,000 Rand, but you have to spend it quickly. And there are T's and C's that do apply. Takealot will be in contact with you. Thank you so much, takealot.com. We've had so many messages, Basani, congratulating you. This is big news out there. How does that feel when all these women out there are just so excited for you and so excited about the work that you're going to be doing?
It's super, super cool. I feel showered with love. So I must just say a big, big thank you. You know, one of the things that really helped me even in my African bank journey was knowing that there were so many people in South Africa, ordinary South Africans just supporting me and on my side. I cannot overemphasize how much it means, so thank you.
People are saying you rock and we're supporting you and you're amazing. I love reading these kind of messages. So we'd like to celebrate. We are celebrating our phenomenal women this year. And we just want to recognize the sponsors for their support. As we brought this year's events to a beautiful reality. Afrocentric Group, the book houses, you need to read the books. People want to know what's in, what books did we get?
So firstly, we got The Promise by Damon Galgut. I don't know that book. Hijackers on Board by Cynthia Stimple. A book called Girl, Woman, Other. Oh heavens, by Bernadine Evaristo. That sounds incredible, right? And then last but definitely not least, a book by Kamala Harris called The Streets We Hold, An American Journey. Yeah. I mean, Kamala Harris has just been such a star in our firmament over the last year or so. So yeah. I can't wait to get into that.
I really want to get into that because just as you guys were finding out who our top 50 lists are, Basani and I were talking about her. Where is she? We haven't seen so much about her and kind of miss her. And Basani said the last time you saw her was when? In the news?
Oh, forever ago, talking about Afghanistan. But you know, if you follow her on Twitter, she really is active. But just thinking about Kamala Harris, you know, especially when we're talking about women and, you know, Women's Month and so on. I mean, she's one more leader who has just made it all seem possible. You know, and the way she was so gracious in accepting this leadership role and acknowledging all the people around her who supported her, acknowledging her mom, it really just made it seem like, you know, leadership has come. It's a thing that's arrived for more and more Black women and for more and more women as a whole, actually. So for that, we thank her, and we can only hope that we start seeing more of her in the months ahead.
Yes, Kamala, please come about. We want to see you. Want to interact with some of the work that you are doing. I think in the foreword that I had written for the Power of Women supplement, I wanted to make sure that all women know that we see you. We're seeing the work that you are doing. And it's so important that you continue doing that work. Women, we do celebrate you, and it is possible. It is possible. Whatever you want to get done in your community, for your people, in your company, for the future of South Africa, innovating, doing the amazing work that needs to get done. It is possible. Congratulations on this important recognition for all 50 women and all the women who have been nominated for the past 16 years. And I'd like to thank you for your service and to your community and to your country. The Mail and Guardian Power of Women in proud partnership with the Afrocentric Group is an impactful and very necessary project that we will continue doing for another 16 years and more. And we'd like to thank you, Basani, for being part of this, for opening up about your struggles, your difficulties, your wins in this life. I'd like to thank you very much for this conversation.
Thank you so much for having me. It's been an absolute joy having a conversation with you.
Thank you so much. So to everybody, all the winners, all the sponsors, and the amazing Mail and Guardian team, we thank you very much. And everyone, have a great weekend and a great Friday. Celebrate women as we continue to do at the Mail and Guardian.
Plato said, "Who will guard the guardians?" Who are our guardians? Do they care about us? Are they accountable for their actions, or are they above the law? Who elects these guardians? Us? Them? Someone else? And if they guard us, who will guard them? Who will guard the guardians? The Malin Guardian, if you really want to know.